the Pokémon franchise, being almost 30 years old, has seen a ton of features, with a lot of them coming and going. So many scenarios of something existing only for a game or two, before never being seen again. Supposedly, this is done to encourage replayability of every game, giving each one something unique, something to let it stand out amongst the crowd. On paper, this isn't that bad of an idea. Like, the Poké-Athlon doesn't need to be in every single game. However, there are some features that always seem to return, and when one of those disappears, it seems kinda weird. It could be something that's just been kicking around for a few generations, or even something that has stuck around for over 20 years. Their disappearance will always raise some eyebrows. I think the easiest and most notable example of this is Dexit. Dexit is a fan term used to describe the lack of all Pokémon being present in a game's code. This term is a play on Brexit, referencing how the Galar region is based on Great Britain, and it surged after an interview revealing that not all Pokémon will be returning for Sword and Shield. Now, all signs point to the Generation 8 debut being the end of the trend of being able to use all of your favorites in every game, but that honor technically goes to the Let's Go games. Well, these games are quite different from the other main series games, and there's a timeline where Gen 8 did have every Pokémon. With what we have, they are the first mainline games to not have every Pokémon in their code, and every game since then has followed suit. This one is a very heated topic, even years later. While I would very much prefer having everything available in every game, over the years I've grown to accept that this is just the future of the series and there's nothing I can do about it. I try my best to look to the bright side of this, and that is with the lack of every Pokémon, there's a sense of excitement seeing which Pokémon make the cut each game. If it wasn't for Dexit, I never would have popped off so hard from seeing the elemental monkeys in the Legends Z-A trailers. Oh my god, the monkey! The monkey! The monkey! In a very similar vein of Dexit, we have the removal of the National Dex. Now these seem like they should go hand in hand. However, the National Dex actually got the boot a couple games earlier. Sun and Moon, the debut games of Generation 7, were the first games not to feature the National Dex. They had every Pokémon in the code. All Pokémon were usable, but no actual National Dex. If you wanted any semblance of it, you'd need to look towards Pokémon Bank. This was upsetting to me back in the day. I had completed the National Dex for the first time in Generation 6, and had a mostly complete Living Dex that I was going to finish in Gen 7, filling the holes in both the Living Dex and the National Dex at the same time. But with the National Dex being absent, I just left all my Pokémon in Gen 6. It actually soured me so much that the Alola games are the only games from Gen 6 to present where I haven't completed the Pokédex. I just got all of the new Pokémon and decided to wait for the next games, as I was hoping maybe Gen 8 would bring it back. Now, not every feature removal is as drastic as the removal of Pokémon, and in some cases they can even be liked by a good chunk of the fanbase, like with the removal of HMs. HMs, standing for Hidden Machines, were a special set of moves you had to teach your Pokémon to be able to navigate obstacles in the overworld. These moves ranged in usefulness for battles, as well as being unable to be deleted outside of the dedicated move deleter. Most people did not like these, and would constantly call for their removal, and come Gen 7, they were gone. Well, in these games, they were replaced by the Ride Pager Pokémon, which covered most of the main HMs, and most importantly, were no longer required move slots on your team. And as time goes on, they become less and less, to where we get Scarlet and Violet, and everything is just built into Koraidon/Miraidon, and Fly now just being a fast travel option from the map. The Faithful Remake's Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl didn't even make them required learned moves, now just being usable through a Pokétch app. Oh hey, if you are enjoying the video, please consider liking and subscribing. Doing so really does help out the channel. Also, drop a comment down below, even if it's just what feature you'd like to see brought back the most. Sometimes a feature is removed for reasons outside of the franchise, such as when they removed the game corners in the middle of Generation 4. These were locations that allowed for players to gamble, and during the late 2000s, some rating boards, such as PEGI, the rating system used in Europe, deemed that gambling is unfit for games for younger children, and at the time would have made the Pokemon games rated like PEGI 12. So, to avoid this, they replaced the game corners in the international releases of Heart Gold and Soul Silver with a place to play Voltorb Flip, which is a great minigame and should totally be brought back. Starting with Generation 5 onwards, the game corners were just no longer a thing. The Hoenn Remake's Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire has a game corner that is closed down, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl replace it with a clothing shop, and the Let's Go games have to feature the game corner for plot reasons, but they just have none of the slots actually usable. For a technicality spot on this list, we have the bicycle, which was a way of being able to traverse the overworld faster. This one is a technicality because while it was removed in Gen 7, every game that doesn't have the bicycle has a substitute of rideable Pokémon. Alola has the Ride Pager Pokémon, Let's Go has some Pokémon you can actually ride on, such as Arcanine, Legends Arceus has Weirdeer, and Scarlet and Violet has the box legendaries. So while the bike itself is gone, it at least has a consistent replacement to fill its void. One of the longest mainstay features of the series was the Battle Tower, which is a post-game facility that allows you to test your might against stronger and smarter opponents than those found in the main game. The Battle Tower first appeared in Pokémon Crystal, and would continue to appear in every game, although sometimes coming in altered forms, such as the Battle Subway, Battle Maison, or the Battle Tree. Whichever form it is, it still boils down to the exact same core idea. The first games not to feature a battle facility like so was Let's Go, but that was just such a different game, and it returned right away in Sword and Shield. But when Scarlet and Violet came around, a game that should have one, it was just gone. No sign of it anywhere. Both DLCs came and went and still no Battle Tower anywhere. A definite blight on these games as they are really lacking post-game activities, and no battle facility makes it feel even emptier. While we are on the battle facility talk, I will mention the Battle Frontier, which only actually appeared in Emerald, Platinum, and Heart Gold and Soul Silver. It's been over 15 years since we last had the Frontier in a game, and I'm still salty about it. Talking about special locations, we also have to mention the Safari Zone, which was a location where you could pay a small fee to have a limited time safari catching rare Pokémon. This was featured in Gen 1, skipped Gen 2, brought back in Gen 3, and continued on into Gen 4. For Gen 4, Sinnoh had the Great Marsh, which is mechanically the exact same, and Heart Gold and Soul Silver added one when the originals did not. This was just a fun little side area that featured a slightly different gameplay loop compared to the standard wild Pokémon battles. When the Hoenn games got remade, the Safari Zone location was still there, but it was no longer an actual Safari Zone, more just like a standard route where you can battle wild Pokémon. In the Let's Go games, the Safari Zone is replaced with a Go Park, a location to catch Pokémon transferred in from Pokémon Go. But Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, being as faithful as they are, actually brought back the Great Marsh properly, and it remains as the only appearance of a proper Safari Zone since Generation 4. The EXP share, another kinda heated topic in terms of features. The EXP share has two different forms. In Gens 2 through 5, it is a held item that shares half the battle experience earned by the active Pokémon and gives it to the holder, allowing to train up low-leveled Pokémon. In Gen 1, 6, and 7, it applies EXP to the whole team. Gen 1, I believe, spreads the total amount earned across all Pokémon, where in 6 and 7, the active Pokémon gets the full amount of EXP, and every other Pokémon gets half of what the active Pokémon would get. While both forms at the heart of it are the same, in action they do become quite different. The Gen 6 and 7 model continues on even into modern titles, but with a key difference. Starting with Let's Go, the EXP share is always on, with no way to turn it off. There have been many debates and arguments over this change. On one hand, many games feature full party EXP, and this could just be Pokémon trying to keep up with the times. On the other hand, it was a toggleable option in Gen 6 as well as the Alola games of Gen 7, so it shouldn't be that much of a hassle to just keep having it be an option, and leaving the decision in the player's hands. Speaking on the topic of leaving things in the player's hands, there are some options that the players can fiddle with in each of the games. From all the way since the beginning, two of these were Battle Mode and Battle Animations. Battle Mode let you change between Switch Mode and Set Mode, and this is basically a toggle for the message you would get after knocking out a trainer's Pokémon, where it would tell you what Pokémon was coming in and if you would like to switch. Set Mode removes this message and just has the opponent send out their next Pokémon right away, much like in battles with other players. Battle Animations is quite self-explanatory. It toggles the animations used in battles. So if you didn't want to watch a 30-second long Z-move animation, you didn't have to. When Scarlet and Violet released, both of these options were just gone. Animations could ever so maybe have something slightly to do with the seamless battles from the overworld, especially since I believe the option was also absent from Legends Arceus. Given how streamlined all move animations have become in Gen 9, it's not the end of the world. However, removing the option for Set Mode when that is still how battles against real players work is beyond baffling. I replay a lot of these games, both for personal enjoyment and for video purposes, and these two settings are a genuine massive help for speeding these up. I don't need to see the same animation multiple times every battle. I don't need to switch Pokemon because I'm using the same one 95% of the time. These options, alongside the EXP share, are problems that seem like they could very easily be fixed, but they unfortunately seem to be intended directions set by the developers. This is how they want you to play the game, and you just get no say in it. Okay, this one isn't like a massive feature, but shiny huntable legendaries. Every game since the introduction of shinies let you shiny hunt the legendaries. Starting in Generation 5, the legendaries on the box became shiny locked. In X and Y, all the legendaries were locked, but Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire came out and had a bunch of past legendaries you could shiny hunt. Then Sun and Moon rolled up, and none of the legendaries were shiny huntable, except for Type Null. But then Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon added past legendaries, and those could be shiny hunted, as well as all of the Ultra Beasts. Then we got Sword and Shield, and every legendary in the base game and the first DLC were shiny locked. But the second DLC added all past legendaries, and all of them could be shiny hunted, as well as the 2 new Regis. So we've got a bit of a trend going. Scarlet and Violet released, and all of the legendaries were shiny locked. And then DLC 2 added a bunch of past legendaries, and they were all shiny locked as well. So now we've got a bunch of Pokemon that used to be shiny huntable and just no longer are. Granted, this was also the case in Legends Arceus, but that was a special case scenario with it being so different. But with both games that feature seamless battles from the overworld, every single legendary is shiny locked. There's 2 possible scenarios I can see happening for this. 1, they want to keep visual continuity between the Pokemon you see before battle and during the battle, just not wanting to have it suddenly change colors in the transition. That being my assumption for a majority of the shiny locks in the past. However, I much more believe it's option 2 here, and that is that they can't figure out how to handle shiny rerolls for static legendaries in games with seamless battles. Since there's no battle transition, there's no quick spot for them to be able to have the shiny appear without it looking jarring, so I think they just lock them to avoid an issue. But this is all just speculation. Again, this one isn't too much like the other points in this video, but I just kind of wanted to complain about the shiny locking in the Gen 9 DLC again. With that, we have our list of longtime features that have been removed. There's bound to be more, but these are what I see to be the bigger / most notable ones. If I missed any, let me know down in the comments below. And while you're down there, don't forget to like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you'd like to further support the channel, hit the join button to become a channel member, granting you perks such as special emotes and even some member exclusive content. I hope you have enjoyed the video. This has been BigBlast99, and I hope you have yourselves a goddamn good one.